Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ping. So we have a very brief meeting today, just more of an informational meeting, kind of going over some of the stuff we've gone over before and kind of let you know what we're doing in this last month and a couple weeks of school, and what does the summer look like, and then how does next year look. So there's a couple of big items kind of that's fast upon us. So tomorrow night on May 8th is our Roaring 21 event for the class of 21. It's from 6:30 to 10. It's kind of a prom alternative, if you will. We have DJ, we have food, we have decorations, we have prizes, we have games, we have all kinds of stuff for our senior class. I think it's really great that we are finally in the position where we can get back to in person. And I think that having an event for our seniors, I know there was a lot of talk for the class of 20, especially about having to give up grad night and prom and graduation, and that was certainly horrible. But the class of 21 has had to give up 2/3 of their senior year, and even though we're reopening and there are more opportunities for us to get together, there's still no grad night. Prom is significantly different or non-existent in most places, and graduation, which we'll talk about in just a second, looks like it's going to go forward with all the hoopla of the usual graduation, with some COVID restrictions, unfortunately. But it's nice that we'll be able to at least celebrate this class a little bit differently and have some recognition for them, sort of similar to what we did with the class of 20, but maybe even ratchet it up a notch. So, like I said, the Roaring 21 event is tomorrow, Saturday the 8th, from 6:30 to 10 p.m. The big event always of any year is our graduation event, and it is June 11th. Right now, we are limited in due to the COVID restrictions, social distancing. We can only have a certain number of people at the event. So right now, each senior is limited to 3 tickets. The seats will be set up kind of in family groups, cohorts, kind of like what they've done with athletic events. People will be assigned to some areas, that kind of stuff. But it will be a full graduation. The Val and LaSalle will get an opportunity to speak. Our senior president will have some words. So we'll have a lot of it'll be a traditional graduation in every sense of the word. As the COVID restrictions begin to lessen even more so, hopefully before now in graduation, we might be able to even free up a couple more spots for our seniors. So maybe we'll have 4 tickets, or who knows, even 5. We're hoping that, I know like Riverside County moved down a level in the COVID color scheme tier system, and San Diego was just short of being able to do that. So if San Diego is able to move into the yellow sometime in the next week or so, we'll be able to maybe make some changes to our plan for graduation to include more people, but that remains to be seen. The next big item, and also kind of along with that, is senior recognition starting this week. Actually, I think starting Monday. We're beginning to celebrate our seniors on social media, so we'll be doing the Instagram, the Facebook, all those postings of seniors and where they've been accepted to for where they're planning on attending for college next year, and that'll be great. That was one of the things that I think the community really liked last year, was seeing pictures of all of our kids and where they were heading, and I think that that's a nice way to kind of celebrate that. We've also got the yard signs coming. Hopefully they'll be here middle of next week. We've seen our banners. Those are a nice way to celebrate the kids, and those will be cool because the kids get to take them and put them in their dorm rooms when they go off to college, and hey, look at me, look how great I was in high school. That'll be a fun thing for them. We also have state testing coming up, so there was some confusion about state testing. We were getting a bunch of different stories. It kind of changed every couple weeks depending on different things, different people that were kind of having opinions. And so finally, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, the state finally came out with some specific requirements about what needs to be tested and what doesn't, and this is for our junior class. So based upon the fact that we've been open basically since October to hybrid instruction, we've had a good number of our kids on campus, every school day since then. We don't have quite the full flexibility that some high schools maybe do that have been closed a longer time. So with that said, we weren't able just to kind of pick whatever for our testing, the alternatives, like a lot of districts and schools did. So, but we were able to kind of look at what we have in place and what makes the most sense given our restrictions. And so, starting May 17th, 18th, 19th, 24th, and 25th, we'll be doing our state testing this year. So for math, we'll be doing the Math Diagnostic Placement Exam, which is a test that was put together by the UCs some years ago, and we've been using it, and the UCs have been using it for placement. It's a great test because it really tests kids for skills. It's meant for specific classes. So for instance, our 11th graders will be taking the Integrated Math 3 Readiness Test. So that'll show that basically these are all the skills, these are all the standards that you're meeting in Math 3 that you've shown success on, and it'll just be able to kind of check the box. I actually think it's extraordinarily superior to the CASP in a lot of ways. It's easier to administer. It's all, well, there's an option to do it in person, but it's also can all be done online. It's graded for you. Students and parents will be provided with a sheet that says, this question tested this particular skill, which is this particular standard, and you either got it right or you didn't, and it will also tell you kind of where you didn't get it right. So it's actually a lot of data about that's going to tell us a whole lot on our math skills of our juniors. Then we don't have a program like that or a tested place like that for English language arts. So we're going to have to be using the CASP for English language arts. Just recently, in the last week or two, the state has decided that they were going to limit the length of the CASP. So it's actually 2 hours shorter than it was in past years, and since we're only doing half of it, we should be able to get it done over the course of really 2 sessions, but due to the size of our junior class, we'll have to spread that out over 2 sittings. So that's why we have that kind of scheduled for 17th and 18th, with the 19th kind of being the overflow or the day for makeup. And then on the 24th, 25th, we'll be doing the CAST, which is the California Science Test, and that's an assessment that really the state hasn't given us any option on, or any school an option on. It's test for basically for high school kind of exit exam for how well they've learned the science concepts, and that's been a big push of California for a couple years now. So we'll be able to administer those on the 24th and 25th. I'm hopeful that our junior class really takes this testing seriously, even though we recognize that it is a very, very strange year, depending on whether you were hybrid or distance learning, your particular learning style, your access to technology, your particular proclivities as far as taking the work seriously from the beginning, probably has a lot of impact on whether or not you're going to be able to do well in these tests. And I think everyone recognizes that all the way up to the federal government. So with that said, it's still important to have a good, strong baseline so that we know exactly how we need to develop and how we need to grow. That's particularly true because we're also, and I didn't even write it up there, but it's one of the things we're going to talk about on our LCAP, as the district is writing their LCAP. Our results for this year's state test data will be our year 1. Well, actually it'll be our year 0, so it'll be our baseline to show growth over the course of the next 3 years. So having a good solid foundation is going to be important, so I'm hoping that our juniors take this very seriously. One of the things we're doing to kind of celebrate all of our students over the course of the next couple of weeks and kind of get the juniors ready for for testing and kind of put them in more of a calm emotional place, is we're having a pizza party for all of our kids next week. So each day next week we're going to be celebrating a different class. With on Monday we're going to be offering pizza to our freshmen, Tuesday our sophomores, Wednesday our juniors, and Thursday for our seniors. Just a way to say, hey, welcome back to school, and just to kind of get an opportunity for class by class for those students that maybe haven't had a whole lot of opportunities to really interact with each other, a little time to bond, a little time to get together. And we'll do that as safely as possible. We'll do that with as much social distancing as we possibly can maintain, but it's also important to really have an opportunity to really connect with people, not over a screen all the time, right? So that will be coming up next week as well. Summer school, we're going to have a pretty rigorous summer school program this summer, as one would expect. There was some discussion about how much of it can be distance learning, how much of it needs to be in person, and we really came to the decision that it needs to be in person. We really need to get those kids here. We need to get the kids, used to being back in a school setting. And just, looking at the data, just the kids that are in person are just doing better. I mean, there are kids that do extraordinarily well in distance learning. That is a program that does well for a particular type of kid, but for the vast majority of kids, they need to be in person. And so our summer school program will start the Tuesday after graduation. And it will go through June 3rd. I believe that's that Friday. So and it'll pretty much be kind of an all-day program. I think it's a 9 to 2.
June when did you say? Sorry.
You always do this to me, Todd. June. I think it's June 15th to July 3rd.
Okay.
Yes.
You said June, so that's why I got confused. June 3rd initially.
I'm sorry, June 15th to July 3rd. So, despite what I just said about most kids doing better in person, there are those kids that have really, really flourished in distance learning, and there are those families that have commitments, that have schedules, students that do club sports, that have different kinds of events, that preparing for different things, that continuing a distance learning program into next year is something that we're really strongly looking into. It will be for a very limited cohort of kids, and very few kids that have been successful in distance learning in the past, that have a good GPA, that have a real desire to maintain this kind of program. And there will be some very strict sort of provisions put into place if we do continue it into next year. So there will be some very strict attendance requirements. There will be some very strict grade requirements. So kids that are not continuing to be successful in distance learning, the program won't continue to be available for them. But it is something we want to try to put into place. We have spent a lot of time and effort with the staff, really training the staff on distance learning procedures and techniques. We have a number of parents and a number of students that have reached out and said, hey, this is something we really want to continue for next year. And we're open to that. We're looking at ways to kind of build that into our master schedule for next year. Like I said, the numbers will be limited because we won't have the ability to do as many as we are this year, since most of the staff will be in person, and in fact all the staff will have to do some in-person stuff next year. But we are going to have a small cohort available, a small class. What that looks like is a little unclear at this point, but I think we can accommodate between about 60 to 75 kids potentially, of various grade levels. So more on that to come, but this is something that I think that families have really desired. While most families want us to return to in person, most families want us to be full day. Yes, absolutely 100%. Next year we will be in person, we will be full day. But there are those handful of families that want to continue distance learning, so we'll have an option for them as well. It won't look like this year's. it'll look quite a bit different, but there will be an option in place. Update, and then the last thing kind of on my agenda is updates on our CTE program. So we've talked about building a computer science program. We've talked about building an advanced manufacturing program over a couple months now, and we've slowly started to see that come to fruition. I've had a number of meetings with county folks, number of meetings with folks at Palomar, and day before yesterday we had our interviews for our instructor. We've made an offer for our instructor. That person has not yet accepted, but I'm very, very hopeful. This person has quite a bit of experience in both of those areas that I think would really help us grow this program. So that's something that's forthcoming. We've also received a lot of our materials for the program for next year, boxes and boxes and boxes that we really don't have anywhere to put right this moment. But those are here. We've put in an order for brand new computers that can do computer aided design, that can handle a lot of the software that we're going to be using. Some tablets that are for certain programs. We've ordered some robotics systems, so the kids will be building robots. We'll also have some minimal kind of drone training, so the kids will have an opportunity to kind of put some tiny little drones together and do some planning with that. So really we'll be looking at a lot of different things. Specifically in the area of cybersecurity, I think we're going to be able to develop that relatively quickly. There's actually a grant in place that we're going to be going for pushing towards a cybersecurity program. So I know that we've talked in the past about kind of having two branches where some of the kids can kind of focus on the game design and some of the kids can focus on cybersecurity. So that'll help make that branch a lot more robust and a lot better. So that's kind of where we are now. Is it now time for the student update?
Well, there actually was a question.
Yes.
The ASB seniors, they would just like to know if senior sunrise is a possibility still, and if so, if we can start planning towards
Can you repeat the
getting
question?
the word out.
What?
If senior sunset is a possibility, or
What-
sunrise.
Let's talk later on that. I think anything's a possibility. I think we need to just make sure that we have, the good social distancing plan in place and figure out some parameters for that. But I think as long as we're thoughtful and we do the pre-planning, I certainly think it's a possibility. Okay?
Yeah. And I need to go.
No, that's you.
Thanks, Joanna.
Right, no, just kidding. I'll leave that up there. As far as for ASB and just like student body, a lot of the things that we've been working on is one, we have started painting a mural outside. I don't know if you guys saw it on your way up here.
I didn't know. I'll look at it on the way out.
Yeah. And it's gonna be like on the side building here. As you're exiting this one, you can see it from the window. And one of the reasons why we started painting murals was because we just wanted to just have more like student interaction activities here at the school. And it's mainly the ASB students that are painting that mural, but it is more of like a backdrop, so students can like take pictures there, or just it's like the other mural that we have near the other classrooms further down, and there's a big mural of the Legionnaires. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a Legionnaire mural, and so we just thought it'd be nicer to like custom the school building, and that's something that ASB has been working on recently. And then another thing has obviously been graduation and our senior event, but we're also working towards re-electing students for next year's ASB presidency and student body organizations. So I know this week pretty sure today, and the announcements we put out for re-elections for next year, for ASB presidency, president, vice president, stuff like that, and class councils. Like this, I know this year has been really difficult to like meet with your class councils, only because not everyone can participate, or not everyone knows when to participate in these class council meetings, and it's usually just been consisting of the ASB students who have carried on with class council. So we're hoping to get that back in fold for next year. So we're starting our elections now, and that's currently where we're at. I'm not sure what else might be going on, but as far as I'm concerned, that's the major things that we're doing.
What date is election?
Elections start today.
Start today.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think we have a specific deadline yet for just like election packets and when all that has to be in by. But I know that Ms. Rojas wants to get at least the presidency in before the school year ends, the ASB presidency. And then class council is always just like, they fluctuate. Those tend to take a little longer. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I just have one quick announcement.
I, speaking on behalf of the Bonsall Education Foundation, want to thank everyone for their support this past year, and hoping that we have a normal year next year. That was what Jennifer wanted me to convey to all of you. So we're hoping that, you know, the Bonsall Education Foundation can have a normal year and do its normal fundraising activities. It's been, you know, it's been affected by COVID as everything else has. So thanks everyone for watching and for being part of the Parent Information Networking Group.
And one more push for an Adopt a Senior fundraiser for BEF that's still going on. While we've raised a lot of money, and I believe we've reached tier 3, I believe that to be true. We were within like $50 like a couple days ago. It's important to keep going with the fundraising because there's still a couple more tiers for the seniors, so if we could get to some of those, that would be awesome. And if not, some of the money that BEF uses would be great to be able to have in place for next year for, you know, so as our teachers come back, there's going to need to be some supplies. The teachers are going to have needs that our budget may not be able to handle. So donate to BEF, donate often. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you.